To my left and your right would be Brian Branch, the President and CEO of the World Council of Credit Unions. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Mike.
So our mission down here is to see what is going on with the credit unions and if there's anything that we can do of any assistance or help for our brethren down here in the credit union industry. So we had the opportunity of meeting with several different groups today, Brian, and we got a reasonably good feel as to what their thoughts are and what their actions are. Maybe you could give a recap and add to the mission that we have.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for being here. Thanks for traveling here to help our colleagues. We all remember when Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Maria struck in the Caribbean, and just devastating results here in Puerto Rico. And we all remember the impact that it had on these communities, the shortages of power and shortages of water. But we've also had a chance to hear from the credit unions about the impact this had on their members and the credit unions themselves. And what's striking to us, as we hear so many times around the world, is that when disaster happens, very often it's the credit unions that step in, some of the first institutions in their communities to help out. And we found that that was the case here in Puerto Rico, that the credit unions were up and open and providing services to their members right away after the hurricane to help their members get through that crisis. And the result has been just a tremendous sense of loyalty from the members who remember those times. And we see great growth in terms of deposits and membership here on the island. But we find that the credit unions are still dealing with some very serious challenges. There's the challenges of the bad debt impact of those members who lost their work, lost their jobs, lost their assets. But more significantly also is the impact of the credit union's historical investment in government bonds here in Puerto Rico. And so the credit unions really are facing some challenges in how they're going to prepare for the future in dealing with these issues that impact their balance sheet and their earnings. And so credit unions from Puerto Rico reached out, as credit unions around the world do. We're a global community, and they asked for some assistance from credit unions on the mainland. And we had credit unions on the mainland from the Cooperative Credit Union Association say that they're happy to come and take a look and talk to their colleagues and see what they can help out. And it's a very important connection for the credit unions from the mainland because they have a large membership who of origin come from Puerto Rico. And this is part of our interconnected credit union system in the United States and around the world. And the issues that we've had a chance in Puerto Rico today are the issues that you're all familiar with. We're talking about the level of capital in the credit unions, how to build that capital to prepare for the future, how to rebound from the impact of the disasters, and the impact of the impaired government bonds on the balance sheets of these credit unions, how to deal with that amortization, how to deal with that risk, and how to generate income. Programs, and credit unions had invested in these government bonds back in 2007, 2008, 2009 when the economy was good and the bonds were generating good return. Now, after the island was impacted by the global recession and that recession deepened and continued here on the island, that became a very serious problem for the credit unions and was exacerbated by the impact of the hurricane.
So I guess the next question is, do you think we got enough information here to move forward? I know we still have another day down here, informational gathering. We have a few representatives from both Metro Credit Union and Greylock Federal Credit Union, and we'll get their take in a second or two. But do you think we've got enough information, or what do you think is the agenda here that we need to pursue?
You know, one of the great ironies today is that as much as we can do virtually and through electronic connections, frankly, it's the face-to-face contact, communications, the facial expressions, the body language that really provide a lot of that information and rapport building that we look for in terms of building a forward plan. And we had lots of great suggestions today that in terms of training programs, collaboration, ways that credit unions could do participation loan programs and building capital, helping the credit unions in Puerto Rico satisfy the needs of their communities. So we're scratching the surface. We're getting started, but we're off to a really good start today.
Great.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Brian. I'm going to ask Jeff Gerard from Greylock Federal Credit Union to join me right now. And Jeff, welcome. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Now, Jeff, we had the opportunity, as Brian said, to visit with several different groups today, and you had the ability to listen to literally 3 different opinions as to what's going on. We listened to Brian just now about the bonds, government bonds that they were investing in, and the value or lack of value thereof that they have. But they had problems probably before that, before the Hurricane Maria. Their economy wasn't doing well. They had electrical problems. Their electric company was a little bit in default, and they're struggling through all of these things. What do you think we can do to lend a hand after what you heard? Or the second question would be, what's your takeaway from the 3 different groups that we interviewed today?
Let me start with that, Mike. One of the things that I took away from this morning's session was that the credit unions feel a sense of urgency, not only because of the hurricane, but more it's exacerbated by the loss of population and the number of the Puerto Ricans who have settled in the states. So I think that has presented some challenges for the credit unions here locally. And that was really is an eye-opening experience to learn that we have 115 credit unions operating in a specialized cooperative environment that is thriving for the most part, generating a lot of capital that's been made available to the members here, over 1 million members in the credit. It's really amazing. But they're concerned because of the hurricane, because of the population loss, because of the stale economy, and because of the bond situation. So I think from a standpoint of what we can do is that we can help them get better at asset liability management. We can also look at ways we can infuse capital into these credit unions here, and we can talk to them about
participation
loans and how they can, they're interested, those that have liquidity, they're interested in how they can participate in loans or buying portfolios of loans from the credit unions in the states. So I think there's plenty of opportunity for us. We also talked about CECL as they're trying to grapple with those challenges there, and many credit unions in the United States are trying to deal with things. We are too. Right. So it's very similar concerns and issues that they have. I think that the collaboration aspect is one that we should build upon and offer assistance, and I think they can help us as well, because they're doing some special things here, and the way that they engage their members. I think that would be a way for us to learn, especially for those in the dealing in the Hispanic market. I think that would be a great opportunity for us.
Sure. Now, I know in Springfield, Massachusetts area where my credit union is located, we have over 50% Puerto Rican population. So I, of course, have a lot of members that are of that persuasion. And I'm here, of course, not only to help my members and theirs. I think you also have, and I know Metro has a large Puerto Rican population that they service too.
That's right. I think in the western Massachusetts and Berkshires, we probably have the less of that, general Hispanic population. I think that is need to pay attention to, and I think that anything that we can do to help those members through co-op shared branching, through other avenues, to help them retain their membership with the credit unions here, I think that's something that we can definitely be a part of and contribute to.
Great. Any other takeaways? Are you glad you came so far?
It's been a great experience to know how fast that they have rebounded from the terrible storm. And we hear time and time again how the credit unions were the first to respond to the needs of the members here.
Mm-hmm. I heard some great stories today about what some of the presidents, CEOs, and other staff members did to help people get through no electricity, no water.
It's just amazing, when you talk about no electricity, no water, and you talk about the movement of cash, how cash So a lot of them came up with some very creative ideas in order to make sure that the members had money to do those transactions that they would require to do in cash.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that as a federally regulated institution, we have disaster recovery plans, but some of the things that you have had in your past experiences and what these guys have had to deal with are, you don't always write a book for that or a plan. So it was interesting to hear their stories and what they did.
It certainly was. They're prone to hurricanes in this region of the country, so they know how to prepare for it. But Maria caught them even off guard. I think the reliance on things like cell phones and internet, we all become reliant on that, and I think that the loss of that is for one or 2 days, but for multiple weeks at a time, it's hard to plan for that.
And it's interesting that at 7 months, there's still some areas of the country that are without electricity. They're still able to get commerce done by, like you said, movement of cash and some of the electronics back up and going. And what they had to do to improvise as they were going was absolutely terrific.
I agree. I've heard a story about 100,000 people were still without power before he came down.
Great. So let me do this. I want to thank Paul Gentile of the CCUA for helping push this with CUNA, and of course World Council, who does just a terrific job in any of these instances. We still have another day of information gathering. We're going to then go back and reconvene, and hopefully we'll be down here in another month with some positive things that we can bring back to our brethren down here in the credit unions in Puerto Rico. For now, though, I thank Walter Lascos. I'm going to throw it back to you, and thank you for making all of this happen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Walter.